This podcast is brought to you by Mapper Forward's new Patreon community, the Global Coffee Think Tank. Check the show notes or head to patreon.com/mapperforward to find out how you can become a member today. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and today we have a real treat. I am very excited to welcome my friend, Fatima Al Ketbi from Dubai to the Daily Coffee Pro for the first time. Welcome, Fatima.
Hi, Lee. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to be your guest at your amazing podcast.
Thank you so much, Fatima. You captivated me when you and I started having conversations about specialty coffee. And recently we had Brian Gaffney on the podcast talking about his idea of specialty coffee as a consumer. And you're not in the specialty coffee industry, but like Brian, you are obsessed with specialty coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. I have caffeine kick right now in my body.
So
I have my cup of coffee right now.
صحتين.
So yeah. Thank you.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have another series from the perspective of the coffee consumer. So our kind of theme for this series is going to be discovering specialty coffee as a consumer. And today, in the first episode of this 5-part series, I want to ask you, what is specialty coffee to you?
Well, this is a really difficult question, Lee. And at the same time, I don't know, but I have this adrenaline rush in my body whenever anyone asks me about specialty coffee that I have lots of answers in my mind, but I don't know how to deliver it to you right now. But before starting, let me say hi to the listeners. Hi, everybody. And this is Fatima. I am from United Arab Emirates. Basically, I'm from Sharjah, but the majority knows Dubai more. I am a person who is really passionate about coffee, and exploring is part of my passion as well. So without exploring, I'll not reach this phase, or I'll not reach this chapter of specialty coffee in my life. So call me a coffee enthusiast. So this is fun.
And just for some perspective, I should have asked you to introduce yourself first. My bad. I'm really sorry. And Fatima is like Brian Gaffney is a branding person. Fatima's an engineer. We've had a run of engineers on this podcast recently. So Fatima is an engineer. She doesn't work in specialty coffee, but really is obsessed with specialty coffee. Like all of Fatima's social media is of her drinking specialty coffee on a canoe, on a mountain, on a beach, brewing specialty coffee, like all the different places and adventures that Fatima goes on. She takes us with her while she's brewing specialty coffee, and spends a lot of her time going and visiting specialty coffee cafes around Dubai and around the UAE. So it is really fascinating as someone who's in the specialty coffee industry to be able to talk to a consumer and say, like, what is specialty coffee to you? Why are you so obsessed with specialty coffee? Because our big job as business owners is to find consumers like you and be able to give you products that meet your expectations and give you the experiences that you're looking for. So I'm going to ask you again, what is specialty coffee to you?
Well, Lee, I'm very hard customer to please, honestly, when it comes to coffee. It's very hard to please me, honestly. And let us first talk about it and answer your question about specialty coffee. 15 years ago, coffee is not my favorite beverage, honestly. So I used to hate coffee. Not love coffee. I used to hate coffee. In our culture, we have coffee every day at our houses, and it's there. It's part of our traditions, part of our culture, part of our hospitality. There should be coffee at every house here. My grandfather used to make his coffee every day before sunrise, and because they used to live in the desert back then, and he used to do his coffee every day in the morning before sunrise, and he calls the neighbors at that time by shooting his gun, do some shots in the gun, by his gun in the air, so everyone knows that the coffee is ready. So they
Really?
start gathering. Yeah. So he prepares the coffee at that time, use his gun to tell the people that coffee is ready, because they live like at like a very far distance from each other, you know. But with the shooting, they know that my grandfather coffee is ready, so before the sunrise. So they gather under one tree. The tree is there till this date under name, and it's they call it under name of my grandfather name, because he used to sit under that tree, do his coffee, call the people, gather, have their morning coffee before starting their work. So
What an
I believe
awesome
that,
story.
yeah, I believe that it's in our blood, you know. So, but honestly, I was not in love with coffee. I used to have Arabic coffee at my house and in the gatherings, and but I used to hate it, honestly. 15 years ago, like around 2007 to 2008, plus minus, I used to see my colleagues at the university campus having their morning coffee. And I was questioning, why do you have to punish yourself early in the morning? Why do you have to punish yourself early in the morning with this bitter beverage? It's really bitter. And they used to have this at that time when they're rushing between classes. They have this instant coffee or the coffee from the machine. And I've tried it. I was curious about it.
Uh-huh.
Why they're wanting to have this cup of coffee where there is other options like tea. It's delicate. You can add sugar. The taste is still good. Without sugar, the taste is still good. And it's nice. It's a nice cup of tea. Why do you have to drink this bitter beverage? And that was something stayed in my mind for a long time, just because I see it every day. I see it in every table. I see every person around me having the coffee. I'm the one who's having the tea. But one day, I don't know if there is a connection or not, but I was reading the book The Secret. This is one of the famous books. So the coffee was in my mind the whole time. Maybe people, they will think that it's something silly. What is the connection between reading The Secret and like connecting it with having a cup of coffee? The thing is that I was reading a sentence in The Secret book saying that if you really want to try something and you have something in your mind, just shift your mindset and try it and do it. Take the next step. So I said, let me try with coffee. This is the thing. I may take this sentence, have it in my real life, and start with the cup of coffee. And from there, I start drinking coffee. I was shocked from the first sip, definitely. And I said, I don't have to do this. I don't have to punish myself. Why do I have to do that? I was asking myself, why do I have to do that? It's not necessary to have a cup of coffee every day, but I took it as a challenge that I will see. They said the majority, when I was asking them, why do you have this cup of coffee? Our caffeine kick, or we need our energy between the classes, or while we're studying. And I said, okay, you have caffeine in tea, you have caffeine in chocolate, so there are other alternatives, better alternatives than coffee. So I was not convinced with their answers till I've tried it, and I fall in love with it after that. Wow. My journey with coffee, before specialty coffee, before knocking the door of specialty world, I took a long time, long period drinking commercial coffee, jumping around, trying different cups of coffee with milk, without milk, with these crazy recipes nowadays. And then I've tried everything till I reached the door of specialty coffee world, and I started knocking the door. with curiosity, and I want to know more. And after that, like after 5 years from the commercial coffee phase, I met a colleague in my workplace, and this person, he used to carry a bottle of cold brew in his pocket. It's like this big, and it's
Uh-huh.
always in his pocket. And then when I saw him in the corridor at the offices, I saw him. He just grabbed this small bottle. I don't know what is it, and then he take a sip, close it, put it back in his pocket, and I was curious. What is this? What this guy is doing here?
Uh-huh.
What is having in his pocket? So he told me this is cold brew, and at that time I don't know what is cold brew. I said, what is cold brew? He said, it's coffee. I said, no way, why are you putting the coffee in your pocket? I used to know that the coffee, you drink it directly from in a cup, directly from the machine. And he said, no, this is cold brew. You have to do it with this grind setting, this time of hours, 24 hours, 16, whatever. I said, what the hell is this? What is it? And then he told me to try it. I've tried it. And from that sip, Lee, I've totally fallen in love with coffee.
What
Not
was
because
different
of the
about it?
taste. It's not because of the taste.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the science and the procedure to get, or the experiments that this guy is doing to get this cup of coffee. It's not about, it was not about the first sip. It's whatever that is behind it. Like science, why do I have to grind it this size? And why do I have this temperature for cold brew? Why it's not this? Why it's not 2 hours? Why it's not?
Wow.
Yeah, so the questions that raised in my mind made me fall in love with this cup of coffee, honestly. And from that day,
Yeah.
I was trying to, honestly, the specialty coffee at that time here in our community, it was not that, I don't know if it was famous, but I was one of the customers who really doesn't know that there is something that is called specialty coffee. And I used to think that Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts is something at that time.
Right.
And yeah, and at that time I don't know what is specialty coffee. I've never heard about specialty coffee. I've never tasted specialty coffee till I've tried it. I've tried this cold brew at that time, and then from then I asked a question, because before trying this cup of coffee with my colleague, I was asking, is it this, is it, I mean, where we're going next?
Right.
Where we're going, is it this cup of coffee that we're having? Do we have more, or
is there
is just
anything
this
else,
cup?
or is it just like
Is anything
hot coffee
else?
and cold coffee?
Exactly. Is there something else than the milk-based coffee that we're having, or the Americano that we're having, the taste that we're trying? Because it's all similar. It came to a point where I feel that all of the coffee, it's the same. I cannot find something unique about it. And from there, I was asking, it's a part of my habit. Like it's something
Right.
that I need to question to get the answers. I need to use it. So from there, my journey started with specialty coffee.
And so I assume that you drink coffee every day now.
Oh, the doctor told me stop doing that. I said, no way, no way.
So to you, like if I put 2 cups of coffee in front of you and only one of them was, well, let me ask you this way. If I put 2 cups in front of you and they were different coffees, what would make you decide that one was specialty? Is it the cup it's served in? Is it the flavor profile? Is it the experience around drinking coffee? Is it the brew method? What determines whether a coffee is a specialty coffee to you?
It's everything, Lee, because even a commercial coffee, there are certain a group of customers, they love they love the experience about the commercial coffee, the place, the taste of the coffee, the flavors. You will find experience in every part. You will have it in a commercial coffee, and you will have it in a specialty coffee. Now, how to differentiate between both of them is the story behind and how it is to be delivered to me as a consumer, as a customer. Now, if, for example, I don't know, I know nothing about specialty coffee, and I will have both of them. How I would differentiate between them? How do I know that this is a commercial coffee and this is a specialty coffee, right? If I am a normal customer who doesn't care about the names, but this customer wants to have his or her caffeine kick or energy or just a cup of coffee. To me, is when I enter the specialty coffee world, it is something else. It is the taste of the coffee, the story behind the coffee, before the taste. What is this cup of coffee is telling me exactly.
Wow. So you actually look for that in the cup. You look for that in your experience with the barista or with the cafe or with the roasted coffee that you're buying. You look for the story.
Yeah, definitely. Because I have a conversation, everyday conversation with any, like, I have lots of coffee in my coffee bar at home. Okay, so
you have a coffee bar at home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a coffee bar at home.
Okay.
So I have this daily conversation with my cup of coffee every day in the morning. Whenever that I try and open a new bag of coffee, I have this conversation. Like, there is a bond or a connection between me and this cup of coffee. That's why I love specialty coffee. There is a story behind it. There is, that this is, the quality of this coffee that you're receiving and the taste of the coffee that you're receiving. And I reached to a phase that I had a connection even with the producers. That makes me excited even more to dig and explore more in this industry. So the cup of coffee, when it comes to specialty coffee, there is a story behind it. There is starting from the producer till it comes to me as a customer or a consumer. So this is what I love in specialty coffee.
Wow.
And I love the science behind it, because it's not just a coffee that you need to brew it and drink it. You have lots of things and lots of techniques to have to get this cup of coffee. So today I'm having a V60, and in the afternoon I'll have an air press, and at night maybe I'll have an espresso. And the thing is that there are lots of technique, lots of science, lots of let's say steps to reach this cup of coffee. Specialty to me is like it's passion and love. It's art to me. It's the music that I'm listening in the background when I'm having the cup of coffee. It's the rituals that I'm having. It's the adventures, the people, the connection that I'm having, the relationships that I'm having with this cup. Because this cup is connecting me to the whole thing around me.
The whole, wow.
It's a sensory experience.
I have to tell you, this is like fantastic. Like, there are going to be specialty coffee professionals listening to this thinking the same way that they did with Brian Gaffney. Like, the number of people that contacted me and said, I want to break up with all of my customers and just find the Brian Gaffneys of the world and send them coffee. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of that with you as well, because the way that you talk about coffee is this way that people talk so passionately about the deepest hobbies. You know, it sounds like that's how you view coffee.
Yeah, definitely. So I cannot remember when a day that I woke up and I've never think about coffee.
Since you did convert to this.
Specialty.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to now head into the next episode, and we're going to have a whole discussion around this thing about experience that you're talking about, because it sounds like the idea of experience is, and the way that you experience coffee is an important element to how you define specialty coffee. So let's have that conversation.
Yeah.
Perfect. Join us in the next episode, everyone. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.